Life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. For me, it was the unraveling of my marriage that sent shockwaves through my world. What I once believed was a solid foundation crumbled beneath me, exposing hidden betrayals and shattered trust. As I navigated the aftermath, the stories of those involved unfolded like a cautionary tale. A tale of ambition, recklessness, and the inevitable consequences of our choices. This is the story of how one affair spiraled into a scandal that not only changed my life, but also left an indelible mark on everyone involved. It takes a lot to push me over the edge. I'm generally a calm and collected guy, but when it comes to my personal life, all bets are off. It all started one fateful evening at an industry event when Cindy's lover approached me without a hint of remorse. He boldly confessed that he found my wife irresistible, especially in bed. I could feel my blood boil. "Get out!" I spat, my voice barely masking the fury that bubbled beneath the surface. "I can't stand you, you vile snake!" Those were the last words I ever spoke to Cindy, the woman I had cherished for 7 long years, before our brief and bitter encounter in divorce court a few months later. I never thought our relationship would spiral into such chaos. 7 years may not seem like a lifetime, but to me, it felt eternal, filled with memories, laughter, and the kind of love that made us seem like the perfect couple. I had trusted her implicitly until the moment I discovered just how naive I had been. The betrayal hit hard. She had been unfaithful with an actor during an awards ceremony in Cannes, France. It was at that glamorous event, surrounded by my friends and her colleagues from a prestigious talent agency, that our marriage began to unravel. I still can't fathom why they thought it would be appropriate to drag me into their Mediterranean escapade. Perhaps they underestimated my intelligence, assuming I would just roll over and accept whatever sordid details were thrust upon me. They were gravely mistaken. I refused to dignify the man who seduced her, let's call him Tim, because he doesn't deserve the spotlight. I can't help but think of the many men named Tim who may take offense at being associated with this particular character. My apologies to them. In the aftermath, I was offered a staggering $5 million to sign a non-disclosure agreement, along with a swift exit from the marriage. The deal was tempting. While I was already financially stable, the allure of that kind of cash was hard to resist, especially with the prospect of finally cutting ties with Cindy. It felt surreal, like a get-out-of-jail-free card, even if it meant relinquishing half of what we had built together. As for me, my name is Jeff Smithers, and I was on the brink of becoming a single man, though I hadn't fully grasped it yet. What I despise most is the feeling of betrayal, realizing I had been played for a fool. I run a successful consulting business, a labor of love that I've cultivated over the past decade. I had always been cautious. I made sure Cindy signed a prenuptial agreement that safeguarded my business. In hindsight, that was one of the smartest moves I ever made. Cindy was captivating when we first met. I was head over heels in love, convinced we were the ideal couple. But her infidelity shattered that illusion. Perhaps the allure of fame drew her in, and the cliché of a wife cheating with a celebrity became my reality. She was stunning, both inside and out, and it's incredible how love can blind a person to the truth. At 29 years old, we had spent 2 years dating before tying the knot. Cindy had worked at the agency for 8 years, rising through the ranks to work closely with some of the biggest names in the industry, including Tim. If I had been less trusting and more observant, I might have noticed the red flags. When she was informed she would be working with him, her excitement was palpable. She gushed about how handsome and genuinely kind he was. These were all telltale signs of infatuation, but I brushed them off. Her work took her away from home for extended periods, sometimes a week, other times 10 days, and even an 18-day trip across Europe. I didn't want to be the nagging husband, so I suppressed my worries. I was genuinely happy for her, believing that this was just part of her exciting career. But then came the announcement that would change everything. One night, she came home bubbling with enthusiasm. "Jeff, you won't believe the news. Tim's film has been nominated for an award at the Cannes Film Festival, and I'll be part of the entourage." Her joy was infectious, yet my heart sank. She'd be attending the awards ceremony, complete with glamorous gowns courtesy of her agency. Despite my reservations, I tried to put on a brave face. "That's amazing, Cindy. I'm happy for you." But inside, I was struggling. "I just wish we had more time together," I admitted, my voice laced with sadness. "Being apart for so long has been really hard." Cindy's expression faltered for a moment, but her excitement quickly returned. "You know how much I've wanted this," she exclaimed, and I couldn't bring myself to dampen her spirits further. Little did I know that excitement would lead me down a path I could never have anticipated. Cindy's expression shifted slightly, a hint of hurt flashing across her face. "For your husband, after all this?" she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. It seemed she wanted to argue, but instead, she fell silent. Her lack of protest made me wonder if there was more beneath the surface than I had realized. The very next day, however, Cindy surprised me with an unexpected announcement. "The agency is covering your travel expenses as a thank you for the time I've been away from home these past few months," she said with a bright smile. "It's a round trip to France, all expenses paid, and the accommodations are top-notch." The offer was tempting, an invitation I couldn't refuse. I quickly shuffled a few appointments, arranged to work remotely with some clients, and cleared my schedule. If I had known then what I know now, I might have chosen to stay home. Yet I had always believed in the fidelity of my wife. Every dark cloud has a silver lining, or so they say, and soon we found ourselves on a journey to France. Our destination was the breathtaking town of Cannes, nestled along the French Riviera, not far from glamorous Monaco and the bustling streets of Nice. The festival we were attending spanned over 11 days in May, drawing countless visitors. Upon arrival, we settled into a luxurious 5-star hotel, with a suite boasting a stunning view of the famed Palais des Festivals, where beautiful actresses often graced the red carpet. I envisioned Cindy making the most of her time there, leveraging her charm and beauty, especially since she was among the most attractive women in our group. I figured her role was mainly to support the publicity efforts, taking the spotlight occasionally alongside a well-known actress. While I focused on my online work during the day, it felt more like a vacation. Our interactions were brief, and I wasn't overly concerned. I assumed her admiration for Tim, the celebrity, was merely professional admiration, just part of her job. However, my genuine unease first arose when she returned to our suite to prepare for an afternoon photo shoot on the beach. After 5 days of seemingly normal activity, Cindy emerged from the bathroom wearing something that left me utterly speechless. It could hardly be called clothing. It looked more like a few delicate strands of dental floss strung together, barely covering her. The small piece of fabric clung to her, and I realized that if it got wet, it would reveal everything. "What on earth is that, Cindy?" I exclaimed, a mix of disbelief and concern flooding my voice. "You can't be serious about going out in public like that. Where did you even get that outfit?" "It's a gift from Tim," she replied, a hint of shame in her eyes but no intention of changing. "He said it would make the press photos sizzle. This is just part of my job here, Jeff. Please don't blow this out of proportion." "Damn it, Cindy. I don't want half of France or our friends back home to see you like that. You look like an adult film star," I blurted out, realizing too late how harsh my words were. After that, she angrily grabbed her things and stormed out. I decided to focus on my work and ordered a simple lunch through room service, trying to push my discomfort aside. Later that evening, I dined alone on our terrace, overlooking the beautiful meaty beach. As I ate, I caught sight of Cindy mingling with her colleagues, laughing and posing for a throng of photographers, both professional and amateur. From my vantage point, I could see everything. What unsettled me most was how close she stayed to Tim. I watched as he wrapped his arm around her waist, the intimacy of the gesture making my stomach churn. While it didn't necessarily indicate anything inappropriate, it didn't sit well with me either. The photo shoot wrapped up, and I saw Cindy and Tim walking toward the sea while the rest of the group returned to the hotel. The short distance from the embankment to the water allowed me to watch closely. Again, nothing seemed suspicious at first. But as I continued to observe, It became increasingly uncomfortable when I noticed they were still walking along the beach with his arm still around her waist. For the first time, I felt a genuine concern about my marriage. This wasn't the kind of behavior I expected from a loyal wife. When Cindy finally returned to the suite about 45 minutes later, she seemed completely oblivious to the tension in the air. "What's the matter?" she asked, her expression puzzled. "You look upset." I looked her over, my gaze heavy with the weight of what I had just witnessed. "Well, let's outline the problem in general terms. First of all, your body is practically on display for all of France in whatever you want to call that outfit. It's clear that everyone can see my wife's figure, and I'm not comfortable with that." "Don't be so tense, Jeff," she interrupted, rolling her eyes. "This is Europe. No one here cares about that. Besides, I thought it might please you. We've been apart for so long this year that I wanted to wear this for you." "Cindy, Tim bought that for you," I said firmly. "You're wearing it for him, or at best for no one at all." As the realization of what was happening settled in, the fun of the trip began to feel like a distant memory. I had to confront the reality of our situation, the fragile state of our marriage hanging in the balance. As I stood there, the scene replayed in my mind. Cindy and Tim strolling along the beach, his arm wrapped around her shoulders. Their laughter echoed in my ears, and it was as if every embrace they shared was a dagger to my heart. When she returned to the hotel just 45 minutes before our planned meeting, a knot of suspicion tightened in my gut. "Where were you?" I asked, my voice steady but filled with an undercurrent of hurt. Cindy's cheeks flushed, a mixture of embarrassment and indignation washing over her. "What exactly are you implying, Jeff? What accusations are you making against me?" Her tone was defensive, but I could sense the tension simmering beneath the surface. "You know this is purely professional, right? I'm just fulfilling my responsibilities." Her words hung in the air, and I wanted to believe her. Sure, Tim was undeniably attractive, but was that all there was to it? I chose to remain silent, my thoughts swirling. Her explanation seemed reasonable, yet the comfort between them was undeniable. They had clearly spent more than a few hours together, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something more was brewing beneath the surface. She had even hinted at a significant bonus for managing Tim's affairs, a suggestion that felt almost too convenient. The following day was pivotal, the evening of the inaugural award ceremony for Tim's film. I wasn't an official attendee, merely an extra in a production that didn't quite include me. As Cindy slipped into her stunning gown, my heart raced. I dreaded the idea of her sitting next to Tim, praying that my worst fears wouldn't be realized. The event received a lot of media attention, especially from French television. It didn't take long for my worst suspicions to be confirmed. Not only was Cindy seated next to Tim, but she was leaning into him, sharing whispers that seemed too intimate for mere colleagues. Anxiety coiled in my chest, tightening its grip. When Tim won an award, I received a text inviting me to the after-party. I hesitated, but curiosity gnawed at me. The party started off relatively tame, drinks flowing freely as the night wore on. As midnight approached, guests began to trickle out, and I noticed Cindy heading toward the restroom. That was when Tim approached me. "Hey, Jeff, you've got an amazing wife," he said, his words slurred with the effects of too much alcohol. "You're a lucky guy. She's the only one helping me relax these past few months." I felt a surge of rage bubble up within me, wanting to confront him right there. I was bigger, 25 pounds heavier and 3 inches taller, but part of me wanted to hear what he had to say. So I clenched my fists and asked, "How long have you two been spending time together?" He grinned, oblivious to the storm brewing in my mind. "Oh, it started soon after we kicked off the promotional tour. I'd say I've been in bed with her at least 30 times. You must be envious. I'm not sure she even bothered to give you a second thought before me." From the corner of my eye, I spotted Cindy making her way back. I turned my attention back to Tim, suppressing the urge to punch him. "Thanks for the honesty, Tim. My wife is just another woman to you, huh? Don't you think you should walk away from this mess?" Cindy's expression shifted from curiosity to horror as she caught snippets of our conversation. Tears welled in her eyes as Tim shrugged. No way, man. You can keep her. I could find someone like her anywhere. She's fun, but that's about it. The agony in Cindy's eyes was palpable, and I felt a flicker of something resembling pity. Yet in that moment, my anger overpowered everything. I turned to Tim, letting my frustration boil over. Well, I don't need her either. With a swift movement, I punched him, sending him crashing to the ground. As the chaos erupted, the local police swiftly intervened, handcuffing me and escorting me away. Glancing back, I saw Cindy kneeling beside Tim, checking on him as he nursed a bloody nose. It seemed so cruelly ironic. The husband left to pick up the pieces while his wife fawned over another man. The police didn't take kindly to public altercations involving celebrities, especially not when I didn't speak French. Thankfully, they provided an interpreter, and at 9:00 a.m., I found myself in a cell, answering questions about the incident. I requested a lawyer before giving any statements, fully aware that I needed someone to navigate this tangled mess. About an hour later, I learned Cindy had come to see me. I refused to speak with her, the echo of her sobs still fresh in my mind. It felt reminiscent of a scene from a classic comedy, the kind where misunderstandings spiral out of control. The police seemed to grasp my stance and relayed my message to her, leading to her swift departure. While I waited, a sympathetic officer brought me coffee and a croissant, his understanding evident in the way he touched his nose, a silent acknowledgement of my plight. Nearly 30 minutes later, two significant figures entered my cell, an attorney named Miss Philippe LeBlanc and a representative from Cindy's agency. Miss LeBlanc proposed we first hear from the agency's rep, who turned out to be Peter Longstaff. I couldn't help but smirk at his name. It was all too fitting for the drama unfolding before me. As we settled in for a discussion, I felt a mix of dread and curiosity. What would they propose? And more importantly, what did they know about Tim's intentions? My life had turned into a whirlwind of emotions, and I needed answers. Despite my initial amusement at the irony of the situation, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from funny. I had only met Peter at a few company gatherings, and he had always seemed like a decent guy. I waited for him to break the silence, knowing we were in a chaotic predicament. Jeff, did you have any idea that something was going on between them? Peter asked, concern etched on his face. I shook my head, a mix of denial and disbelief flooding my thoughts. Not a clue until I saw them together on the beach yesterday. I never thought she would betray me like this. I really believed our relationship was solid. Did your team know anything about this? Peter sighed, his expression serious. I'll be honest, Jeff. Some people in our circle had their suspicions, but we didn't have any concrete proof until everything blew up. Off the record, I'm really sorry about what happened. I saw your confrontation, and I have to admit, it was hard not to chuckle a bit when you put him on the ground. He definitely needed a lesson in humility. I couldn't help but appreciate Peter's candor. He was genuinely a good guy. So, what are you planning to do about Cindy? Do you think you can patch things up? Not a chance, I replied bitterly. I'm going to divorce her and do whatever it takes to take them both down. Peter, I like you, but I'm confident that a good lawyer back home can handle this for me. If they suggest holding the agency accountable, then so be it. They can't escape some responsibility in all this. Peter nodded, understanding. All right, Jeff, I get it. We all have our interests at stake here, but you need to keep this under wraps for now. Tim doesn't want anyone knowing he got his butt kicked. After all, he's supposed to be some kind of action hero. He continued, since he's not pressing charges, there won't be any prosecution. Local politicians want to keep the festival clean, so you're off the hook for now. You can tell your lawyer friend he's no longer needed. With a brief handshake, I let my lawyer know he was off the case, assured by Peter that the agency would cover his fees once he sent an invoice to the email on Peter's business card. Now, let's get down to business, Peter said, shifting gears. Are you certain about the divorce? Is there no chance for reconciliation? If you think I'm going back to her after this, you're mistaken. Right now, I despise her completely. She threw everything she had at that arrogant jerk. If what he bragged to me is true, he got things from her that I never did. Intimacy, affection, everything. I brought it up to her over the years, but she never reciprocated. And now she gives herself to him without a second thought. Peter listened intently, his expression a mix of empathy and concern. I get it, Jeff. This is painful, but you're not alone in this. Let's figure out how to move forward. I get where you're coming from, Jeff, Peter said, his voice steady. I'll make sure Cindy provides everything you need for the divorce. We'll ensure she understands the consequences, disgrace and unemployment if she doesn't comply. He paused, gauging my reaction. In addition, I'll propose to the board that they compensate you generously for your silence regarding the entire situation. With your consent, of course. I nodded, still grappling with the whirlwind of emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. Peter continued. I'm also arranging your departure and booking you on the next flight home. How does that sound? I agreed silently, but the weight of it all pressed down on me. Please trust me, Jeff. I'm committed to helping you navigate this mess as smoothly as possible. I know it sounds cliché, but I truly mean it. I give you my word. There was a sincerity in his tone that I couldn't dismiss, even if we weren't well acquainted. Before you leave, Cindy has asked me to urge you to speak with her. She's unaware of my plans, but could you please have a conversation with her before you depart tonight? Peter, you're the hero in all this, I said, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. But you have to promise me one thing. Will you tell her this? You're a despicable, deceitful person, and I never want to see you again. Peter nodded solemnly. I'll convey your message verbatim. Just know she will be devastated. But Jeff, she has no one to blame but herself. After he reassured me that he would reach out with the best offer the board could negotiate, he laid out the plan. I would be escorted back to my hotel, ensuring Cindy wasn't there when I arrived, and then personally taken to the airport for the earliest flight home. In just over 15 hours, my marriage imploded, leaving me consumed by rage and betrayal, not just towards Cindy, but also towards that jerk Tim. The knowledge of their infidelity churned within me, and as I landed back home, a hollow emptiness enveloped me. Without Cindy, my house felt more like a shell than a home. The memories lingered like ghosts, taunting me at every corner. I knew our relationship was irreparable. Staying in that house, surrounded by reminders of what once was, felt unbearable. I was determined to hit her hard in the divorce. I planned to notify our landlord that we would be vacating the place. Knowing Cindy would be in France for another week gave me the time I needed to handle the logistics, banking matters, savings, checking accounts, and credit and debit cards. Keeping busy with these tasks helped distract me from the pain and allowed me to focus on my priorities in the divorce. Despite Peter Longstaff's reputation as a good guy, I knew I had to ensure the outcome favored me. Time passed, and soon I received a call from Peter expressing a desire to meet. He mentioned that a lawyer from the board would accompany him to facilitate a swift, uncontested divorce. We convened in my office where Peter introduced the lawyer, a composed woman named Jeannie O'Battle, whom I secretly dubbed Jeannie in the Bottle for her poised demeanor. But my initial jest soon faded as I realized Jeannie was no ordinary attorney. She exuded intelligence and professionalism, and her sharpness of mind quickly became evident. Mr. Smithers, she began, her tone serious, I want to convey our sincere apologies on behalf of the agency for our role in the breakdown of your marriage. I've been authorized to extend a substantial offer to you, contingent upon your agreement to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Essentially, they are willing to compensate you. I recalled Peter mentioning something similar earlier. Here's a preliminary agreement. I understand your father has legal expertise, so I encourage you to have him or another representative review it. However, it's crucial to maintain absolute secrecy. Otherwise, all offers will be retracted, and your wife will face severe consequences, likely leading to a contentious divorce. Her tone wasn't a threat, but a sobering reminder of the stakes involved. Peter has crafted a comprehensive package. Take your time to review it thoroughly, but remember, confidentiality is paramount. We are here to address any concerns you may have. Additionally, Jeannie continued, Mrs. Smithers is aware of her limited options and is willing to comply with one condition. She requests 1 hour of communication with you. I felt my temper flare. You've got to be kidding me. I told her I never wanted to see her again. I was resolute. Did you convey the exact message I instructed you to? Yes, Jeff, Peter replied. I told her you described her as a despicable, cheating individual and that you never want to see her again. She broke down in tears, just as you anticipated. However, I must inform you, Jeff, that I believe she may be in a state of severe delusion. She kept muttering, "We'll see about that," which concerns me deeply. I glanced at Peter, his expression a mask of indifference. It was clear he had distanced himself from any emotions concerning Cindy. Anger had consumed him, and he hadn't yet realized that hatred is merely a twisted reflection of love, a damaged sentiment that still smoldered beneath the surface. As the meeting progressed, I felt the urge to issue a warning to Cindy, to tell her to cease her reckless behavior before things escalated further. I was on the edge of chaos, ready to unleash my fury upon the situation that had upended my life. In that moment, I recognized the delicate balance of power at play. I was determined to regain control not just of my circumstances, but of my future. I would not let Cindy's betrayal define me. I would rise from the ashes, stronger and more resolute than ever. Before Jeff could voice his thoughts, G stepped in. Jeff, if you're absolutely certain about divorcing your wife and have confidence in your decision, what harm could come from giving her just an hour? You could shatter her hopes in just 5 minutes, but if she insists on taking an hour, so what? You won't have to deal with her again afterward. With this perspective, the situation felt less daunting. Jeff, feeling a sense of resolution, reconsidered the proposal to speak with Cindy, a woman he now referred to as a woman of easy virtue. Jai handed him a written offer, which wasn't a formal legal document but rather a list of bullet points outlining the terms of their agreement. It included compensation for the distress caused by their client's actions, an acknowledgement of regret from Tim, and the agency's plans to retain Cindy's employment while ensuring her financial independence. It also stated that Cindy had agreed to cooperate in expediting the divorce based on irreconcilable differences, with the condition of having a maximum of 1 hour to discuss the reasons for the divorce. It's not overly complicated, Jeff. We could all complicate matters further, but everyone understands the wisdom in avoiding unnecessary drama, G stated. The truth is, there are no winners here except you, financially, though you've lost a wife. In a moment of clarity, Jeff recognized that he couldn't expect more than what was being offered. He didn't need anyone's advice, but he agreed to meet Cindy for that hour, making it clear it wouldn't be a comfortable experience for her. He doubted she'd last more than 10 minutes and instructed Yai to inform her that she could contact his office to schedule the meeting whenever she was ready to get it over with. Cindy tried to see Jeff at his office, but she was denied entry. Instead, she could only schedule an appointment via intercom. Jeff made it clear that he would only allow this one meeting, no more, no less, and she could take it or leave it. The following day, she arrived 5 minutes early, but she was kept waiting until 3:00 p.m. before being allowed inside. As she approached him, attempting to initiate a hug, Jeff swiftly raised his hand to stop her. "Don't lay a finger on me, you disgraceful wretch," he spat, his anger barely contained. "Speak your piece and then leave." Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded, "Oh, Jeff, what have I done? Has your heart truly hardened against me so much that even a small display of affection is unbearable? We've shared 9 years of love, Jeff. I'm your wife. I love you. Please. I was a foolish girl infatuated with a movie star. I know my actions were wrong and selfish." "Cindy, what do you expect to happen?" Jeff responded, his voice cold. "I don't love you anymore." "Didn't Peter convey my message to you?" "He relayed your words, hurtful as they were, but I believe deep down you still love me. We were meant to grow old together." "Jeff, are you out of your mind? You betrayed me in the most horrible way possible. You've been with him for months. Even that day I saw you coming back from the beach, it took you 45 minutes to cross the road to our room. I'm not naive, Cindy. I know what happened between you two. And then you came to me as if nothing had occurred." "Please, Jeff, I'm begging you. I made a mistake, but I love you with all my heart. Give me another chance. This is your only chance, Cindy. Just tell the truth and let's see where it leads. With tension crackling in the air, Jeff continued, Your gallant lover bragged to me about what happened in his bed, something you never did with me. So I'll ask you straight. Did you sleep with him at the beginning of the promotional tour? Yes, she admitted quickly, tears in her eyes. Just a yes or no, he pressed. Did you let him do things to you that you never did to me? Yes, she confessed, her voice barely a whisper. But Jeff, he's famous, she added, desperate to justify herself. Famous and attractive, he shot back. So naturally you're willing to humiliate yourself for him, right? It all makes sense if you lack any intelligence or self-respect. Is that what you've become, Cindy? A puppet manipulated by a celebrity just because of his fame? Love is in the past tense. It's dead and gone. It will never come back. You disgust me. Do you understand? He continued, his voice rising. You heard me tell him to leave because I don't need you. And you heard him toss you aside like trash, claiming he could find someone like you anywhere. You mean nothing to him, just a disposable toy. Jeff, this isn't fair. You agreed to give me an hour to discuss our marriage, but all you're doing is yelling at me, she cried, her voice trembling. A surge of rage and betrayal washed over him, an intensity he had never experienced before. He wanted her to feel the pain of what was lost, to understand that their relationship was irrevocably broken. Yet amid the growing hatred, a sharp ache of love still pierced through him, creating a turmoil he felt might consume him entirely. Get out! I despise you! He spat, his contempt evident. Cindy, sobbing and heartbroken, fled through the door, her anguish palpable. Several months later, he encountered her again at the courthouse, where her lawyer had reached out. Cindy stood before me, her expression a mix of hurt and determination. You shortchanged me during our designated hour, she accused, her voice trembling. It was clear that she had come to terms with the inevitable end of our marriage. Still, she sought closure, insisting on a final conversation after the divorce proceedings. I knew it seemed trivial, a mere half hour, but I relented. After all, once the divorce was finalized, there would be little left to discuss. Attending that final decree felt like the least I could do, even if part of me believed I owed her nothing. It was a small gesture, a way to smooth the path forward. In the months that followed, my initial anger gradually faded into a melancholic acceptance. The relationship that once defined my life now seemed insignificant, almost foreign. There were nights when I drank too much, hoping to numb the occasional pang of regret over what I had lost. Friends approached me, suggesting that reconciliation might be possible, that we were a great couple, and maybe starting a family could rekindle the spark we once had. They emphasized how deeply Cindy loved me, but their words felt hollow. I couldn't tell if they were genuinely concerned or simply trying to advocate for her. Their persistent nudging only fueled my irritation. Eventually, I confided in a select few trusted friends, instructing them to keep anyone mentioning Cindy at arm's length. As a result, some of our closest friends began to distance themselves, unable to handle the cold, bitter person I had become. Months later, I found myself in a side room at the courthouse, facing Cindy again. She looked stunning, as beautiful as ever. But there was a certain fragility about her that I recognized. We both bore the scars of our tumultuous relationship. Dressed as if for a funeral, she embodied the finality of our marriage. Its last rites were complete, buried deep beneath the weight of our choices. Hey, Cindy, you look good. How have you been? I ventured, trying to mask the turmoil beneath my calm facade. I've had better times, Jeff, she replied, her voice heavy with emotion. I've been seeing a therapist for a few months now. Losing you, the man I loved and still love, has made me realize how foolish I was to chase after a famous actor. I gave him what I never gave you, the only person I've truly loved. It's too little, too late. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm deeply sorry for the pain I caused you. I wish I could undo it all, replace it with the love I still have for you, which will always be in my heart. I don't expect anything from you. I betrayed you, plain and simple. It's painful to realize that the man I thought was worthless now sees me the same way. But I made this mess, and I have to live with it. I wanted to see you one last time to find some peace. I want you to know that I won't live a loveless life, but I'll always hold on to my love for you. If you ever realize its value and want it back, it will be here for you, but I won't hold my breath. I know it's over. Her sincerity hit me like a wave. There was no point in pretending otherwise. Her words resonated with a painful truth. It would have been easy to reach out, to rekindle our past, to heed the urgings of our friends, but I resisted. I understood that her career was thriving without the burden of our marriage. Perhaps she would find herself in the same circumstances that led to her infidelity. There was no future for us. With my anger dissipating, I felt only the lingering ache of a love that had now faded. Still, I owed it to myself, and to her, to be magnanimous one last time. Cindy, I tell you this because it's hard to extinguish the love once so fervently held. For your sake, let go of that love. I won't reciprocate it, nor do I desire it from you. Move forward with your life and don't dwell on me. Embrace who you are and may you find happiness. As she stepped closer, I couldn't bring myself to push her away. We shared a tender embrace, reminiscent of the warmth we once had. "I'm truly sorry for what I did to us, Jeff," she whispered, before turning and slowly exiting the room, never looking back. Perhaps it was better that she didn't glance back. She would have seen the tears streaming down my face uncontrollably. In that moment, I realized that the love of my life had finally given up and walked away. It was what I had believed I wanted. After all, trust was shattered, but it felt as though someone had extinguished a flame in my heart, leaving behind a cold, desolate void. Maybe it was time to heed the advice of my remaining friends and seek counseling to aid in my recovery. I had driven her away, dealt a fatal blow to our marriage, and crushed whatever remnants remained. It was time to move forward. 5 years have passed, and my life has transformed dramatically. I'm now the proud owner of a new house and the husband of a wonderful woman named Sophie. She has given me a beautiful son, a light in my life that I thought I'd lost forever. We met about 6 months after my divorce, during a period of deep reflection and solitude. During that time, my thoughts were consumed by one thing: a thirst for revenge. I felt Tim had escaped too lightly for his role in the collapse of my marriage. His half-hearted acknowledgement of his mistake and his apology didn't soothe my wounded soul. Yet, Sophie became my lifeline. We met by chance and quickly fell into a rhythm of love and companionship. After dating for a year, I proposed to her, realizing that I had finally found happiness again. Am I happy now? Yes, far more than I can say for those who contributed to the destruction of my previous life. My ex-wife may still be working for Tim, but I've built a new life, one filled with joy, laughter, and love that I never thought I'd experience again. Cindy had always been someone who pushed the boundaries, but I never thought it would come to this. After getting caught having an affair with one of her colleagues, their indiscretion was exposed at the absolute worst moment possible. It was a scandal that rippled through our lives, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Cindy had been given a second chance at work, a glimmer of hope that maybe things could be salvaged. But instead of rising to the occasion, she faltered, neglecting her responsibilities and ultimately getting fired without a hint of remorse. With nowhere left to turn, she packed her bags and vanished to the other side of the country. I've heard nothing about her since, no updates, no social media posts. Honestly, judging by the silence, I can only assume things aren't going well for her. As for the actor involved, his downfall has been just as dramatic. Once a rising star, he started to fade into obscurity, losing the popularity he once enjoyed. The tabloids are rife with stories about how he not only wrecked my marriage, but also several others, spiraling into a real scandal. If the rumors are to be believed, he's facing serious health issues stemming from his reckless lifestyle. Apparently, one of the women he was involved with wasn't exactly on the up and up, leading to complications he never anticipated. In the end, it seems that karma has a way of balancing the scales. Everyone involved has faced their consequences, and while I'm not one to celebrate misfortune, it's hard not to feel a sense of justice in knowing that they've all gotten what they deserve.